Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I came to SACS in Sub A. Quite interesting. My first meeting was with Mr. Hunter, an absolutely scary oak. So I met him before the year started. There was a whole thing about there was a letter from my nursery school, preschool, about me and where I should be at the school, etc., etc., etc. And I'd meet this guy, I'd be interviewed by him, and it was absolutely friggin' scary. Probably didn't say a word. He must have thought, hell, who's this little dumb guy? Anyway, great in Sub A, sat next to Warren. We had some amazing battles running down that embankment to see who could get to the jungle gym first. Because they knew we were the king of the jungle gym. Needless to say, I got beaten most times. I had to get quite clever to get there first, kind of bump him and all sorts of things. Yeah, great times in Sub A. Sub B, Standard 1, great teachers. I remember in Standard 1, Miss Murray, we used to sit there and this guy kept on coming to the window to chat to her. And we didn't know who it was. And it was John Gainsford, who later married her. And, Standard 1 was quite nice. And then, then we had a very unfortunate thing. My younger brother was killed. That made life a bit difficult. But life goes on, and got to Standard 2. I think his surname was De Wolf or something. It's kind of coming back. I can't remember. Very big woman. And strangely, I used to go for piano lessons. Can you believe it? And I was very honest with her. One day I had to go to piano lessons, and I walked in and I said, ma'am, I must just tell you something. And I didn't practice the piece, but I do know how to play it. And she marched me off to Hunter's office. And he whacked me twice. This big man gave me a hiding. Anyway, I stopped playing piano. I stopped it straight away. But they were good days. And I was reading Chris's, he penned that 7 years of his at junior school. And it reminded me of those horrible days when we were down in the junior school. I mean, you know what little kids are. We got to have to march after assembly down to the boarding house where our classrooms were. And this guy would give us a hiding on our hands, on the insides of our hands. And I'm sure I don't want to say what I thought. It's kind of where you hit somebody and you don't leave marks. But they were damn sore. It's in cold weather. But those were quite good years down at the boarding school. I never thought why they had so few classrooms. But anyway, we made it through. And Standard 4 was quite interesting. And I think our teacher was Mr. Yerster. And he would write on the board. And I'm sure he had his underpants creeping up his butt, because he would sort of bend the knees, I think open the cheeks so it can release his. I mean, this went on and on and on during our lesson. Of course, everybody was giggling and carrying on. Standard 5 was quite quiet, getting a bit nervous. You're heading into this big pond with big fish. Knew this little oak, but quite exciting getting into Standard 6. And then met some great teachers. I think there were great teachers in the junior school. Before I get to high school, another guy that was very scary was Tazen, the gym teacher. He would kind of make us do things that we couldn't do. I'm not that athletic. So for me, it was a nightmare going to gym, and he made us do those forward rolls on that, I don't know what that box thing is called, jumping on that springboard thing, and if you didn't do it properly, made you do it again. Yeah, he was quite a scary uncle. But the rest of the teachers they were great. High school was great. Meeting the great Johnny Innes. What a fantastic man. I think everybody's favorite teacher in Standard 6 was the art teacher. In Afrikaans, they got a saying, say sit lelik. She used to sit lelik. I don't think any of the guys were concentrating on what they were doing in art. They were kind of, the eyes were focused on, oh, yes, that's right. And I'm sure she must have been a very new teacher there, because she needed guidance or whatever, because Doug Brown was always there. Never understood that. Why Doug Brown was hanging around the art class. It's kind of far out of the way. But there were amazing teachers in that high school. Absolutely amazing teachers who made us all who we are. Quite often they didn't just teach us subjects. They educated us. They made us think. They taught us how to think, and that was amazing. Some of them I can't remember their names, but didn't matter whether it was history, maths, science, really, really, really outstanding teachers. I'm quite funny teacher. I can't remember his name either. So excuse me, I can't remember quite a few of the guys' names. He was an Afrikaans teacher, an elderly guy, grey-haired, and if he caught you, that's right. If he caught you chatting, he'd ask you to stop talking, and then he kind of wound himself up. You stop talking. Here's 20 lines to write. Detention for a week. In fact, go down to Whiteford's office and get yourself caned, and make sure you never come back to the school again. It was like bizarre, but quite a good teacher. One of my favorites was Afrikaans, was Miss Basson. What a teacher. Amazing. In my career post school, obviously, I've had to deal with quite a lot of Afrikaans guys, and I'm able to speak Afrikaans because of her. She was amazing, absolutely amazing. So they were great teachers, but they were great staff at the school as well. People like Mrs. Ortip, absolutely fantastic woman. The other staff, I don't know his name. He looked after the first team cricket pitch and field. Great man, really, really nice man. You could go out there and chat to him. That's right. And super staff, great teachers, and of course, I think the students were amazing. And coming in at standard 6 and seeing 5 guys being selected for then Nuffield Week, 5 guys being selected then for Craven Week, hockey, water polo. SACS had some amazing pupils, academically and sports-wise. And of course, in the class of 73, we had great sportsmen. Probably one of the best sportsmen I've ever played with or against. Max, absolutely awesome. Peter Kay. Okay, well, that Peter was ahead of us at that stage. But I mean, amazing. And it continued, And then you had Robin Newstead and all the other rugby guys, Chris, Peter Rasmus, the Munichs, both the brothers were amazing. And it goes on and on and on and on and on and on. So it was great to watch them play sport at such a high level. It was really, really awesome. I didn't play sport at school. It's very interesting. I never played rugby. I played football. Yeah. And I was quite lucky. I was I joined Cape Town City Juniors, and I captained their sides, and I captained Western Province. And so why don't I want to go and play third team rugby and be scared for the 40-minute, whatever long it was. But I remember why I didn't play. We were standard 5, and we had a Saturday morning game. I think it was against Durbanville. And those schools didn't wear rugby boots. We did. And because we were playing there, we would have had to take our boots off, and we'd have played barefoot. And man, I hate walking barefoot. Still today, I hate walking barefoot. So no, I'm not playing. Anyway, I was 10 years old, because in those days you could only start playing football at 10 years of age. Not like today, they start them at 5, 6, and so on. So I started at 10 years of age, and I played till I was about 23 when I stopped. I stopped when I came up here. I went to a practice at Germiston Kelly's, and I mean, they could see I'm a new guy, and nobody even bothered chatting to me. So, who are you? Or welcome, or whatever it is. I was already moving into the world of golf. So I said, well, I got football. I'm going to play golf. And I played it until 2020, when I got knocked off my bicycle and broke my leg. No, I can't. I can't swing properly. It's never been the same. But yeah, and my wife and I cycle. The reason for that was I was a 69 kilogram weakling when I left school. And at that stage, I think I was over 100 kilogram weakling, and I was diagnosed with cancer. So I had the op. I'm clear now, so it's fantastic. It's 8 years. And I just said to her, I can't go on like this. Look what I look like. I'm going to burst. So we decided to get bicycles and ride. And we've been riding ever since. So we ride the Argus, we ride the 94.7, the Amashover, and blah, 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 blah. And I mean, I rode this morning, by the way. I woke up 3:30 with my wife, and we started riding at 20 to 5 for an hour. And we have to travel like 16 k's to where we start. But it's a lovely sport. It's a great sport.
Wow.
And that's why I'm coming down to do all.
Wow. Fantastic.
So it's been cool. So we cycle, try and keep ourselves fit and not so fat. It was about 5:30 in the morning, and we're riding in a big group, and we're motoring, and a guy riding with us on a mountain bike cut across me and hit my front wheel. And I went down and broke my femur right as it goes into the joint, and I broke it very, very badly. In the New South Africa, I lay on the tar for 45 minutes before the ambulance arrived to pick me up. Freezing cold, broken leg. It took me to a hospital I didn't want to go to. Later that day, my wife had me transferred, and I must say, morphine is awesome. Boy. You feel nothing. They only operated on me the next afternoon. It's seriously painful. And then I had to go through physio, and geez, that was tough. And the problem was that with the break and the cutting, I've got a huge cut. They put a pin inside the bone, and the muscles kind of freeze. So it took me months to get my leg to bend. Anyway, cut a long story short, 7 months later, actually about 6 months later, I was at my daughter's birthday, and I got up and I had immense pain in my leg. A month later, I had to go see the surgeon, and I picked up the pin had broken.
They picked up what?
So I go again. The pin broke in my leg. I go again, cut me open again, take it out. I mean, if you see how they put it in and take it out, it's horrendous. It's like tools you have in your garage. Put another one in. And so I had to go through the whole palaver of physio and another 3 months. And, so I went from a walker, 2 crutches, 1 crutch, no crutch, 1 crutch, 2 crutches. One good thing that came out of it, after the first op, my left leg, which is the one that broke, was about a centimeter to a centimeter and a half shorter than the right. So after the second op, he fixed it. So both my legs are the same. So silver lining.
Nice.
So we still cycle, and I'm a bit careful. And I've fallen a few times since on that hip, but it's fine. It's fine. No, and I picked up weight, and I know I eat badly, or I was, and I'm kind of down to 87 now. I'd like to get it down to 78.
Yeah.
Especially riding up Seikabosi. It makes a big difference. I sit in a conversation, and we do something that has some mathematical stuff in it, and I'll come up with the answer. And I've thought about that. I mean, it's because our maths teachers taught us ways to do calculations, which we could do in our head. So short ways of doing it, clever ways of doing it. And when you think back, you realize that's where it happened in those classrooms. I've been in people's company that, they engage in a conversation with you over time. And the minute they hear that you went to SACS, their view of you changes totally. Because it always comes up. So eventually, where did you go to school? No, I went to school in Cape Town. Where did you go? No, I went to SACS. Oh, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, just look at this. Since it started 100 odd years ago, it's had incredible students and teachers and sportsmen, and I mean, we can name them. Well, too many to, but people that have been in top positions in the world from SACS. I did 2 years of law articles, and the attorneys I worked for, officers, were one floor below the advocates up in whatever the street is opposite the gardens. Excuse my memory, it kind of fades. I'm just trying to think of his name. He was a senior counsel, and you get into the lift on a Friday, and he says to you, "Oh, what year were you at school?" Because I'm wearing an old boy's tie, and he's wearing one. And it's that kind of, it's just amazing. My family, quite interestingly, how my family is involved in SACS. It's not just me and my 2 brothers. My mom's brother went to SACS. And I think he went to SACS when it was still in Cape Town, where Cape Town High is now. And that's why we went to SACS, okay, because of him. And then I think he only came in standard 8. My dad's eldest brother's son came to SACS. And then my dad's cousin's son, many years later, came to SACS. And I mean, he's one of the famous SACS boys. I mean, we know him. He played first team rugby, he played province rugby, he plays for South Africa, Percy Montgomery. So I'm sure Percy got his sporting ability from me. Must be. Where else could he have got it from? Not from his dad.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so on both sides of the family, on my mother's side and my father's side, there's SACS. I mean, just look at the grounds. They are absolutely beautiful. It is beautiful. That Hoffman Hall, that hall is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Putting on that uniform, I believe it or not, I still have my bow tie.
Really?
I still have my blazer. That's the old boy tie. I still have them, and don't touch them.
Yeah.
They're mine. I don't look at them every day, sure, but they're mine, and I know where they are. I've got the old photographs that we used to have every year, framed and beautifully framed, and everybody's name. And sometimes when I'm scratching in that particular cupboard, I'll kind of haul one out and have a look at it. And fortunately, their names at the bottom, so I don't have to try and remember who they were when they were in sub A, sub B. It's too difficult. I follow some of the guys on Facebook, and some of the guys do magnificent work. Larry Schwartz, I mean, his photography is just incredible. It's incredible. I love it. I look forward to seeing what he's posted. Some of the guys disappeared. I haven't heard from Warren. I haven't seen, so it's going to be great catching up with him. I haven't seen Warren since the 70s. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Max.
He's in top form.
I follow Neil on Strava. Jeez, Neil, my God. I mean, he runs every day. Yeah, and I see him now running up Chapman's Peak, and he looks like he looked when he was at school.
When you finished school, now, did you go to Abbott's or something, or did you finish in?
No, I went to Progress College. Yeah, it was really great. It was the first time we had a co-ed school.
So when did you go to Progress?
74. I had a very hard time at high school, and I'm trying to figure out why. And I think there's kind of two reasons. One is we played football, and Whiteford hated that. He hated it. So he took an absolute hate position to my brother and myself. I mean, what are you doing as an educator? You don't do that. Anyway, and of course, his first lieutenant, Doc Brown, followed whatever he did. So Doc Brown made it very difficult for us and for me. And then I think what compounded it was, I don't know if you remember, 6 we had to do psychometric tests.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know I can't remember where they took us to, and they made us do these psychometric tests. And 3 of us got together and said, well, you know what we're going to do? Because they explained it's a multiple choice thing and blah, blah, blah. And so we decided that each of us are going to see if there's a pattern to the answer, A, B, D, F, A, B, D, F kind of thing. I'd hate to know what our scores were. I mean, they must have thought, well, how did these guys get this far in life? We're below normal. We should not be there. So, and I read some literature that a lot of teachers teach you and behave towards you based on things like that. So they think you're an idiot, a fool, a dunce. And so they continue to see you as that, well, they're involved with you. And I think that, what they should have done is just said, listen, guys, what have you done? Come here. You wouldn't have got this far. Redo this thing and bend down. Here's 2 for you, kind of thing. Anyway, they didn't do that. So they thought we were a bunch of idiots.
Who's we?
I can't remember I think the other guy, one guy was Douglas Hill, and I can't remember who the other one. And then anyway, so we progressed, and progress was quite great. It's the first time at school and there's chicks in your class. Anyway, did different subjects, did 7 subjects. Subjects I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do at SACS, like economics. And it was quite great. It was nice. Also, we played in the school football tournament, the South African school football tournaments. That was quite nice. We didn't get too far, but that's fine. And then I joined a company, I can mention their name, a company called BSK Herbstein and Ep, quite a well-known firm of attorneys in Cape Town, doing law articles. I worked my butt off. Trying to study at UNISA didn't work, but I think it wasn't for me. Looking back, I don't think I could have been a lawyer doing that every single day of my life. That would have driven me nuts. And I thought, okay, fine. Let me go to UCT and see if I can improve by going full time. And of course, I go and I register, etc. And I have to do Latin 1. And guess who is my lecturer? Whitefoot. I thought, now's my chance. You hit me, and you should never have hit me. Now, I walked up to him, and after about the third lecture, I said to him, "Hello, Mr. Whitefoot." He said, "Hello." I said, "My name is Michael Romburgh. Do you remember me at SACS?" And he said, "No." But he was very rude. So I'm not sure if he just didn't remember me or it was, "Please go away." That was just quite strange. But anyway, I went up to him and said, "Hi." But I think it was a wasted year. I think I spent more time in the movies than in the lecture halls. First lecture every single day was Afrikaans, and my car wouldn't start, so I'd get there late. Anyway, it was just a waste. And I went into telecommunications, into a totally technical field, which was quite interesting. And I spent 11 years there. I progressed very well. Most of the 11 years I spent on training and development. And UNISA accepted my technical qualification as an undergraduate. So they allowed me to do a higher education diploma, postgrad. So we did that. And then I said, well, I'm not going here. I'm not going any further in this place. Time to move. And then I joined one of the greatest companies you could work for. I worked for South African Breweries. Man, what a company. What incredible people. Best MBA you can get with SAB. I mean, I could engage with the CEO of SAB on a personal kind of level, if you understand what I mean. I'm Mike to him, and he's Norman or then Graham to me, and you treat him still with the utmost respect. Great people, minds that are incredible to learn a lot. And then 20 years ago, I said, no, any self-respecting man should work for himself. So I'm not disrespecting those who don't work for themselves. I'm just saying I had the view, it's time for me to work for myself. So I offered my consultancy offered support in growth from a sales perspective. So I did a lot of process and people development. So that was great. So I go into a company, audit their sales function, point out what needs to be done, right from the basic sales planning, budgeting, this, that, the other, as well as the people side of it. So how do we manage people and how do we get them competent? So I did quite a lot of training and development in various countries, and I was very lucky. I've worked all those 20 years were outside of South Africa. Too much bureaucracy. So I worked outside of South Africa. I've worked in every country in Africa up the East Coast, from Cape Town to Cairo, other countries like Angola, Ghana, etc. And I was also very lucky to work for different companies or different industries. So beverage, alcohol, or carbonated soft drinks. I've worked for a cement company. I've worked for mobile companies. I've worked for a hygienic paper company in the Middle East. They are massive. I've done work in Europe, in Hungary, Poland, India. So I've had an incredible 20-year journey where I've seen so much, I've learned so much, I've shared as much as I could. Absolutely fantastic journey. And then, of course, I broke my leg. I worked in Nigeria as well for a betting company, these online betting companies. And I did some work for a beverage company in Lagos, a very interesting place. And then I came back in the January and the February, I broke my leg. So obviously I wouldn't have been able to travel. And then of course, we got the big lockdown a month later. So that stopped all my work. And now I don't feel like it. So now I just take instructions from my new boss every day. She says to me, "What are you doing today?" I said, "Nothing." She said, "But you did that yesterday." I said, "I know, but I'm not finished yet." So I get bossed around like hell. Really, you can't believe it. And it's quite fine. I don't get paid either. So that's a bit difficult, but it's great. So my father-in-law passed away in April last year. So my mother-in-law's she's 85. She's come to stay with us. So we've added on a flatlet on our house, and so she lives here. And there's still a lot of little things that I have to do. So I do those things, and I get to go fetch my one granddaughter from school. I've got 2 kids, biological kids. We've got 3, but we're 2 biological. And they've got kids, so it's awesome being with my grandkids. The 2 boys, the oldest ones, they cycle with us. And their sister and my son's daughter, they dance exceptionally well. My son's daughter came 3rd in the world in a particular type of dancing, and the other one's qualified to go to America and do a dance. Anyway, and then the little one is 4 years old, and she just gives us hell. She's a holy terror. So that's quite great, so I get to fetch them and do things with my grandkids. Like my wife said, if I knew grandkids were going to be so great, I would have bypassed having kids. I would have gone straight to grandkids. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool being with them, and they keep us young. Yeah, I was quite shocked. I was not going to be rude to the man at all. I just want to recognize him and what he's done, and basically thank you for being a great principal. Anyway.
But you can also be an asshole.
Yeah, and he
fucking hell.
It's one of the little
one
negatives.
thing about him. He fucking remembered everyone. He did.
Yeah, I know. He's a smart man, and I'm it used to drive me nuts. I have to go to the principal's office, and he wouldn't even look at me, and he said, "Why are you here?" And while I'm talking, he says, "Ben, boof, 2 cuds." I'm saying, "Gee, don't you want to hear what I have to say?" It actually wasn't me. Fortunately, I didn't go there that often. But
I think you're absolutely right about it was the soccer, for sure.
Yeah, it was the football, yeah. And I played SS schools in 71. Strange thing, I spoke to Alan Footman. I was in the tournament. I spoke to Alan at our last reunion 10 years ago, and Alan said, "Look, send something to Simon Perkin." Okay. So what I'm saying is, I'm looking at this board in the tuck shop with all the guys that have represented Western Province. Why is my brother and I not there? Because my brother's also played for Province. I wasn't rude, nasty. I just asked, could we be put on there? And I got a really, really stupid response
from Simon
about it not being a sport. Okay, just left it. But that's fine. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I must tell you this story because I think he needs to hear it. As I said to you earlier, one of the greatest sportsmen I played with was Warren Crew. From Sub-A, when we were running down the bankment. Warren in 71 started playing football as well, and he played for Tramway. Now, we'd had these little battles in Sub-A, to get to the jungle gym first. The final provincial trials, guess who I'm marking? Warren. Now, Warren's twice as fast as I am. So I had to use all the tricks in the book to prevent him from getting past me and possibly scoring. But I honestly believe if Warren played for Cape Town City with me, Warren would have played for Western Province football as well. No doubt in my mind. Warren was a seriously talented sportsman. And so was a guy like Max. And there's a lot of them. Sorry, I'm just using their names because they came before. So we had a battle on the football field as well, Warren and myself. It's amazing.
Warren tells...
And tidiest cricketers I've ever seen in my life, and very talented, was Robin Newstead. I've never seen a guy more untidy in my life. Sorry, Robin. He's batting in the shirt. But what a great batsman.
We used to call him Sloppy.
Some people are like that. Could just never be neat. I was a bit of a over the top, trying to be perfect and way over the top. So for me, that was like, geez, come on, tuck your shirt in properly. Still a bit like that. There was another teacher. I'm not going to mention his name in case I get it wrong, and he happens to be there. I did a presentation to the Eastern Cape Human Resources community at when this whole SACS thing was kind of getting to its finalization. And it was a 2-day thing. sessions. I was the last speaker. So I speak, get done, and off I fly back to Johannesburg. And every single presenter was introduced with their qualifications. This is so-and-so who works here, has got a BCom, BA, whatever it is. And I wasn't. I was just introduced as Michael Romburgh from South African Breweries. It annoyed me. I think it's disrespectful. If you're going to do it to everybody, do everything to everybody. Anyway, cut a long story short. I was busy talking about what we were doing at South African breweries around competency development and how we decided that we're going to go with a company process that supports the national object rather than do everything that supports that on its own. So the company's got to get a benefit out of this thing. And I stopped and I said, I'm not introduced with my qualification. We're complicating this thing. And let me tell you what we need to be able to do this. We need an MM and a BCS. And it went quiet. There were a lot of people there. It was just quite bad. And they looked at me and I said, all you need is matric maths and basic common sense. So now I'm finished. And I'm sitting there getting my stuff and I'm a bit embarrassed for what I said, but so be it. And I sense somebody standing behind me. And eventually I turn around and it's this guy and I recognize him. And he says to me, you mentioned matric maths in your presentation. Did we not do matric maths at JP High? I said, no. And because I remembered who he was. I said, no. And then I smiled. I said, you taught me maths at SACS. And then he remembered who I was. And oh my God, I don't believe it. I think it was Terry Moore. I can't remember who exactly the name, but amazing. I go there, I bump into the guy and I'm talking about things and he's there and he comes up. So yeah.
Was it Terry Marsh?
Great guys. I think it was, but I'm not sure if he taught us maths or science.
Maths.
I think it was. It was him. Really a great teacher. And Gary's standing there, and I think he was thinking I was rude, by saying no. But I'd already knew who he was, and I smiled and I said, no, you taught me. I must tell you another funny. For me, one of the funniest things was, when did we do cadets? Was it a Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh, I used to hate cadets. I'm not a kind of army oak. I'm not like that. I'm not that kind of guy. But anyway, we have to go do cadets. I can't remember who the cadet master was. I can't remember his name.
Chris Waller.
Afrikaans?
Oh, no, not Chris Waller.
He used to have a comb over. So when we're standing on which is the main field, and the southeast is blowing, I don't know if you can see this. We're all serious and we're going to march and we're doing all these 1, 2, 3 things, and this comb does this.
Was it Oberholzer?
That's it. And you got this guy, this thing standing up behind the southeast, and we're supposed to be serious and marching, you make sure it's the left leg. Oh my God, that was funny. That was hilarious. And I mean, I used to think, doesn't he know? Can't he feel it?
We used to call him Fluffy.
I hated cadets. That's right. Listening to you now and reading Chris's story, and then somebody else penned one as well.
Mike Canty.
In response to Chris, and he said, no, it wasn't Mike. Somebody else responded, and he spoke about some bullies at the school, and he mentioned a name. And I said, oh my God, I have not heard Victor Pearson.
Oh yeah,
Victor Pearson. I think he was only there in the junior school, but he was the scariest guy I'd ever met. Sure. And I'm sure I got close to being beaten up by him. So I didn't befriend him, but I was very friendly to him. Hi, how's it going? All this kind of stuff.
I know.
So those stories.
I escaped. I was friends with Victor. For some reason, we just had a connection, but I used to see what he used to do. Yeah.
I didn't know him that well, but I know he was a scary guy. He was a strong man.
Yeah.
Well, strong kid then, but I'm sure
very short fuse.
Is that so? And stronger. I Googled him. I can't find him. I've looked on Facebook. I've looked everywhere. I can't find him. So I don't know. Another interesting story. My wife has got a client who lives out in Houghton, actually quite near Anthony and Upton Smith. And they invited us one evening for a bite. And we're sitting there, and her husband's name is John Fisher. John looks after I didn't know them. Okay. So we're sitting chatting, and you get around to, so where did you go to? Did you school up here? Or and he said, no, down in Cape Town. I said, oh, where did you go to school? He said, I went to SACS. I said, no, I don't believe it. So lie. He was about 5 years behind us. Shame he's passed away a few years ago. But no, it was like amazing. Here's this guy I'm bride with, and we went to the same school. And he looked after the old boys union up here in Joburg. Obviously, he'd send me all the notifications to come, but I had a contract in Botswana. It was about 5. Where I used to travel up on a Monday morning, come home on a Friday, and hectic, but it was money. It was good money. So I couldn't attend any of those, And then also with the drinking and driving, I don't want to. I've been stopped twice, scary stuff. And unfortunately, I wasn't drinking anything. So, yeah.
Of course.
But an amazing time. And I think this has done a lot for me personally. Talk about these things, because I don't talk about them. I just bottle it up, and it's kept with me, So this has been great.
It's great.
And, here are guys that are now late 60s talking about what they experienced, and some things that you can actually look forward to and keep in the back of your mind while you're progressing through the school, Otherwise, you lose it. So what you've done, the last 7 years of my SAB life, I was National Sales Training and Development Manager. So I interacted with the marketing guys, some of the best marketing guys you will find